Okay.
Scott, would you like me to do a roll call to start the CAB OCEC meeting?
Yeah, Monique, if you would, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Scott Parsons,
I'm here.
Mark Thomas,
Here.
Nikenya Allen,
Here.
all board members present to start the meeting for quorum.
Okay, excellent. And I see Alyssa Robbins may have just joined us.
Elisa Robbins,
Alyssa, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Good morning. Elise Robinson with Office of Supervisor Diane Burgess.
Oh gosh, nice to have you join us. Normally I read quite a preamble of instructions, but I think you've been to enough of our meetings and I don't see any outsiders. I'm going to not do that today, but just welcome all of you to the OCEC meeting for November 15th. So with that, you've taken roll. Does that serve as an introduction, Monique, or did you want
Yes, no, it does. Would you like me to share the agenda now?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about announcements, so go ahead. Yes, share with the
Okay.
share the agenda if you would. So for the OCEC meeting, do we have any announcements that anyone would like to make? Okay, so in the absence of any announcements, and I'll ask, just in case somebody just slid on, do we have any public comment on any item under the jurisdiction of the CAB, Community Advisory Board, and not on the agenda? Excuse me. Okay, doubtful, since I don't see anyone from the outside, that we will have any. So approval of the minutes, and did you want to scan those, Monique, just real quick, or?
Sure.
I've taken a look at them. I don't know if Nikenya and Mark wanted to see them.
I looked through them.
Okay, they look good to you?
Yes,
All right, sir.
I didn't see.
Okay, well, for purpose of order, if I can have someone make a motion for acceptance of those minutes that Monique has just put before us.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
And do we have a second? Well, I'll.
This is Nikenya. I'll second the motion.
Oh, thank you, Nikenya. Good. And is there any discussion on those minutes beyond this approval? All right, Monique, you can do the count if you'd like.
Okay, Scott Parsons,
Yes to accepting.
Mark Thomas,
Present, mean here.
Nikenya Allen,
Yes.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
motion passes unanimously.
So excellent. So moving right into this agenda, it says discuss end of year highlights for annual report. And, you know, I have completed my 2 ambassador reports. I have not completed this document as of yet. So I wanted to make sure on this agenda that I had the opportunity for people to give me things to elaborate on if you could. And we got to remember, I wasn't on CAB or excuse me, well, I wasn't on CAB and I wasn't on this subcommittee, OCEC, all the way through the year. I came on months after it started. So Nikenya, I'm kind of looking to you. Were there any early, and Mark, of course, any early on accomplishments in OCEC that I should include in this report?
Not that I was able to understand.
Ah, we have a guest. I can hear.
I keep moving around trying to like get away, but it's not working.
Yeah, well,
Like, oh my
yeah,
God.
I can tell
That's
you
why
how
the
that-
camera's off.
Oh, well, maybe he would like to comment.
Yeah. My mommy was there, so I can put that in the report. Yeah. So, okay, well, Nakenya, thank you for that. I don't know, Mark, is there anything that, prior to me emerging on the scene, that you think I may be unaware of?
Well, I can't think of anything right now that you wouldn't be aware of. No.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly going to emphasize all of the things that we have accomplished in OCEC and accomplished as a group. And I'm going to take credit in OCEC, Crawford, for the work that you and I did, if you don't mind, on the ambassador program. So, because you and I spent quite a bit of time perfecting that document. And I think that was, even though you weren't in OCEC officially, you were prior to me in OCEC. And you and I spent a lot of time going over that document. So that's one of the things, the ambassador guide. We certainly spent some time on the PowerPoint to make sure that it reflected all the things that we wanted it to. We have dutifully, every time we had an applicant, have interviewed those applicants and made decisions on them moving forward, and things of that nature. And I'll dig deeper, obviously, for completing this report. Anything off the top though, Crawford, because you were kind of, you were there before me and you've been here at all of our meetings.
Well, I think you've really covered it, but I think we need to give a shout out here to Monique. We've got to put in there, she streamlined that dead blame process.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that online, we could get individuals and just look at the results. So I think we've got to recognize Monique's effort in that area as being part of OCEC, that those were the three biggies. And without that, Monique, we wouldn't have been inundated with all of the applicants. So
well, that is exactly right, Crawford. And Monique, to that point, I think Crawford really nailed it. On the survey that we had distributed to us, I don't know if that's anonymous or not, but I certainly gave you credit in that. So I may have been critical of some other things, but you came out of it really well. So, so that's a good thing.
oh.
Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, okay, this gives me some things to certainly start to put in there. And I would assume, and Crawford, I'll let you for point of order here, when we turn in our reports from our ambassador meetings, which I'm about to submit to, I submit it to you first, right? Crawford, is that you want to see it first? So you
No, that'll go directly to Monique. If you want to carbon copy me, fine. If not, no big deal. Those go to Monique and
Okay.
Patrice, but really Monique is she's our gatekeeper. So get it to Monique there.
Yeah. Well, and it's not a part of this end of year report on one hand, but just to kind of shout out about the two ambassador meetings that I've had the chance to be a part of. I think we had a really good one with Matt Malone. Crawford and I did that one. And the reason I say it's a good one is Matt, holds a very important position with the courts, kind of an unknown entity to a lot of us as we were to him. So I think for CAB, we certainly got a chance to create awareness and interaction, and that was positive. And then I'll be submitting the other one today as well for Supervisor Anderson, who that was just a real impressive experience. She's very aware of the work we're doing, of course, because Jill Ray attends so many of our meetings and I think helps her be aware. So I'll be including some things about Ambassador into our program or end of year report for OCEC. So I can move on from the annual end of year highlights, and then we go to this routine discuss membership status, which is probably anything but routine this time. Right? So Crawford, you were kind enough to hand me some information. Monique, did you want to speak to this first, just because you're kind of, Grand Central for information on membership?
Well, yeah, I'll mention something about it. So I have updated it to where we are right now. And after the CCP meeting on Friday, we have Joel and Reverend Van Hook to fill those 2 vacant seats, but that hasn't happened yet. So this is how it looks as it stands right now. And then we also have our survey from members that have elected to either return next year or resign at the end of the year, which that will be discussed in our December meeting. So this is exactly how it looks right now. And so I've updated it as such. And we will go from there until after the CCP meeting.
Okay. So going forward then, I see CAB members who will be returning. We have Ozzie Carter, Crawford Carpenter, Evan Decker, Joel Nickerson Shanks, Julius Van Hook, Lenita Mims, Nicole Green, Scott Parsons. And then we have our new members that need to go before the CCP, right? And that's what you just alluded to.
Right. And they'll go, the members that you interviewed at the CAB meeting, they will be on the December CCP agenda to be approved for the start of the year, because that's when effectively we will know exactly all of our resignations. And then we also will know the ones who have confirmed that they're returning. So that is why we've laid it out that way.
Okay. So you commented about CCP this Friday.
Yes, it's a special meeting. Mhm.
Okay. I don't know if you put anything out with the link to that meeting.
No, but I could send it out to the board members. I sent it out to Crawford. Well, because I'm automatically on the list to receive their information, but I can certainly send out the link to the entire CAB for those that would like to attend.
I think that's a good idea. And I will tell you that when you do that, it serves as my reminder, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to guess I'm not the only one in the group that goes, oh, that's right, Friday. Wow. Because I certainly want to be there for Friday's meeting too.
Okay, I'll send that out today.
Okay, excellent. So I don't know, Crawford, I don't see that there's much else that we can accomplish at this point, right? In terms of awareness of staffing, the document that you put out and what Monique just spoke to pretty well covers it, unless there's something I'm missing, except, of course, we need to keep recruiting, right? And get back out on the circuit with the Monique show that works so well.
Well, I want to say that it feels like we're in a really good place, although we don't know all of the members that will be returning as of yet. But with the 4 applicants that were interviewed at the CAB meeting, I think we're in a really good place, but I think we should always be in a state of recruiting because things happen, schedules change, and I just think it's a good idea to always have applications in a pool.
Right. Well, and exactly. That is certainly proven out in the amount of time that I've been on CAB of all the unanticipated movement. So I agree to that. And also, I need to start trying to encourage someone to take my role as the OCEC chair, right? Because
Right.
I will tell you, I'm getting things coming at me already in droves for things I have to attend, meetings I have to go to for my other obligation that I've shared with all of you. And that is really stepping up starting in March in terms of
Right.
dates on the calendar. So,
Well, keep in mind, Scott, that we want to start the retreat in January. Is that correct, Crawford?
Yes, it is.
So we want to start the retreat planning. Well, we want to start the actual retreat in January as opposed to February. And at that time is when the announcement is made to ask for chairs for the subcommittees
oh, great.
or for people to, so you don't really have to worry about that.
Oh, thank
But
you.
I think what it is during one day and during the 2-day retreat, the members select which subcommittee they'd like to be a part of. And then at that point, I think the chair is selected. And then I'm not sure exactly how it is, but you don't have to. We definitely will have someone that
You
will.
have a mechanism
Exactly.
as a part of that meeting, and that's great. I won't worry about it then. Thank you.
Good, good. Yeah, no need to worry about it because I know
Yeah.
you've done a fabulous job and you paved the way for the next person to take the lead.
Well, and I, since I'm staying on, I don't allow anyone to be in the dark on things. So if, I'll obviously help whoever takes my position to be as successful as I can help them be. Though that's only goes so far. Nevertheless, I'm there for them. Excuse me. So anything else on membership, Crawford?
No, Scott and Monique, I think the two of you nailed it. So we should be in good shape and we keep our fingers crossed and we just keep moving forward. I think OCEC's done an excellent job this year. And particularly with the suggestion of Nakenya to maybe streamline the ambassador process. I don't know if Mark, you used it or Nakenya, but I know I used it with Nicole, Scott and I used it. And boy, it sure made things a lot easier for us. I don't know if the others, Mark, did you have a chance to use that yet? The ambassador kit?
Well, I've been using it as far as figuring out how to try to make contact with the people I signed up for to meet with. But yeah, I did look through it. That's as much as I've used it, though. It did look, it was helpful.
Okay. And Nakenya, did you have a chance to use it?
I haven't used it yet, but that was the whole point behind my suggestion of it in the first place. Because I knew it would help us kind of get things done in a way that was less stressful. So thank you for the time that you put in to develop it in a way that, the future CAB members could use it.
Well, thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And I think you and I probably went right down the line almost with the Matt interview, right? Matt Malone at the courts. Not as much the same, or there was more variation with Supervisor Anderson. And I just have to say this is she is very engaged on a lot of the things that we're engaged in. And she's very knowledgeable about a lot of the things that, so when we went through it, it took on a little different life with her than it did maybe with Matt. But nevertheless, when there was all of a sudden a quiet moment, whoop, we got back to it, right? And it served as kind of a blueprint, keep the conversation going. And we really had a meaningful interchange with Supervisor Anderson, and it only took 34 minutes and we covered it all. Where if we didn't have that blueprint, it may have been messy and it may not have been organized. And I think it's helped us look like we're all dialed in. So, okay.
Scott, I just wanted to make a comment also. So I really want to commend Mark and Nikenya for their work because of they have longevity in CAP, as long as that is. They've had input behind the scenes. And that's what I see with this particular board, is that many people are involved in the process, and we don't always know that, right? Obviously, I know because I'm behind the scenes, but I wanted to publicly acknowledge both Mark and Nikenya for their work for OCEC and the different projects that you've worked on, and just to let the public know that the members are working behind the scenes and they are to be commended for the work that they're doing, even if, it's behind the scenes or their ideas have been implemented. And both Mark and Nikenya have done a great job at providing that leadership, I would say.
Well, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I was going to say a word in the same direction because I felt pretty blessed to come into this as I did. You got to remember, you guys pulled me off the street, and the next thing you know, I was OCEC chair. But because of everyone's experience, it really was relatively easy for me, in learning this process. I don't have a desire to review the work plan. That could have been excluded actually on this because number 6 on our agenda. I have settled on the fact that since that is a format that the other committees are using, I didn't want to change it for ours and have different style and methods for communicating. So I've settled that was a good thing. Why change something that works? So next steps, I guess. A question that I have for you, Monique, is it says decision on December meeting date. Is that up in the air?
Yes, traditionally, the subcommittees have not met in December. We do have our general full CAB meeting, but traditionally the subcommittees have not met because pretty much the work that they have done for the most part has come to a close. But it does have to be decided on and agreed upon with the members. So that's why I put it on the agenda as the next step, so that you all can decide if you'd like to meet on December 20th. It's really close to the holiday, but it's your decision if you'd like to meet on that day.
Well, and it doesn't require a motion.
No, I don't think it requires a motion. I think it requires the 3 of you agreeing on it. So no, it doesn't require a motion, but if you publicly agree and you are a quorum, but we don't have to vote on it. It's just a decision that needs to be made in this public forum. Well,
Let me not be the one that creates the perception that we're meeting in December, because I think everyone has done a good job. I think we need as much time to handle. I hear with Nikenya has a child. Mark, I don't know all of your situations, but it doesn't matter. When it comes to the holidays, I'm sure every one of you have your your challenges and different things to meet, to get through it. So I don't see a reason. And is there anyone that would like to meet on December 20th? So I didn't think I'd hear too much of a pushback on that. So no, we won't be meeting on December then. And which kind of takes us into the next subject, because have we settled on a date for the retreat yet?
Not to my knowledge. Crawford may be able to provide input on what we're anticipating for. And keep in mind the retreat, we're hoping it's in January. So that's another reason why perhaps you don't need to meet in December, because a lot of behind the scenes work will be done on this upcoming retreat so that we can have it in January as opposed to February.
Yes.
So Crawford can probably provide input.
Crawford,
I've already reached out to Patrice and she'll be, getting back to me. And that'll be one of the items we'll be talking about. And I've already made some notes. And she'll probably, give us the last year's retreat agenda. And maybe it's up to us. I know Nicole will be in the middle of it. So will Lila. So will you, Scott. And then that'll be kind of it for you with, in the leadership role because of your other commitments. But we can go through that agenda and kind of say, what do we think will be of assistance and will not? And I guess we'll have to try to figure out, I'd love to get input from, or we should have input from our other board members, for example, Mark, for example, Nikenya, who've been around the block a little while, was some of the information too much, not enough, and we'll have to move forward that way. Maybe at this point in time, Nikenya or Mark, if you two could maybe reflect back, maybe you'd have some suggestions for Scott to take forward.
well,
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
oh, there you go. Yes.
Yeah, so honestly, the suggestions that I had for that had a lot to do with what you implemented, Crawford. So I think that those were the things that I was trying to articulate during that time. And, I was evaluating how the previous year went, for me and for others that were new, and was really trying to figure out a way to make people's transition to this committee as smooth as possible so that, we could focus more on what we have to offer rather than developing it. So, you guys really kind of brought out a lot of my suggestions, and that was where I started with them. So thank you.
So in terms of format, I'm just a little interested, Crawford, because it's going to be Zoom, correct?
Yes.
And it's going to be a 2-day affair or 1 day?
Well, we'll see how it shakes out, I believe. And Monique, you can help. It'll be 2, yes. And it'll be like 3 hours, 1 day, 3 hours the following, or another day. And we'll see how our agenda items fit into that type of time frame. And we do, Scott, have a boilerplate for what was done the previous year. And that may be a starting point. And it seems to me we may want to add, delete as appropriate, with comments from Monique and comments from Patrice.
Well, good. That sounds great. I was wondering, Monique, if you could maybe just share, will the survey be kind of collated by then? Will you be presenting any of that with us so that we can maybe benefit from it in that forum?
So the survey will be discussed in the December meeting. And if there's pertinent information that needs to be discussed in January, we certainly can add that. But the purpose of the survey was to get a pulse on how members felt. But we certainly can add that to the January retreat as well. Because, yeah, I guess it's pertinent for next year as well. But yeah, we can discuss it in December and at the retreat as well.
Yeah, I mean, my thought, and Crawford, this really is your, purview, but because you're the chair of CAB, but I just would, if we gave our opinions on maybe what we think should change, yeah, we talk about it, but we need to operationalize some of those changes to the degree that we can, right? And I realize that there are things outside of our control in a government cab versus a private enterprise cab, and I understand, the Brown Act and things of that nature. But if there were some great ideas or maybe some running themes between those that responded to the survey, it'd be nice to do more than just talk about it and maybe operationalize some of that in that period, if possible.
Makes sense, Scott, makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So I think that is all I have on this end of things. And before we wrap up and call it a meeting, is there anything else that needs to be discussed that anyone wants to bring up of the group? Well,
I'd like to say something at this point. I know we're still waiting for members that will be resigning, but Mark Thomas, this will be his last meeting. So I wanted to, again, congratulate him for his leadership and thank him for his service. And like I stated earlier, he's been instrumental in a lot of the projects that we've implemented. So thank you, Mark, for your service. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a good opportunity. Everybody's been very positive. Reason I decided to resign has nothing to do with the group. It's just my situation. And I'm actually volunteering for I've been a volunteer for another group for a long time. So I see I'm actually putting in more time with that. When I do the Alternative Violence Project, and I do it all over the world. So by Zoom. But before the pandemic, we did it in person. But that's what I'm actually increasing my involvement with that. I'm on the steering committees of some of them. So that's what's mainly my reason for doing that. But I appreciate everyone, and I'll always be somewhere. If you need something I can do. But okay.
Yeah. And then one more thing, I keep saying behind the scenes, Mark actually did you did the restorative practices, you presented to the other subcommittee. So that was not behind the scenes. They were able to implement some of their work from their work plan because Mark did the presentation. So, everything hasn't been behind the scenes. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well.
May I make a comment about Mark? Mark, I go back to when we interviewed or when you were applying to CAB. And what will always stick with me, and it does when I have other conversations about CAB, and it relates to mental health. We asked you about the big three: mental health, jobs, and housing. And your comment was, if your head's not right, then nothing else will really matter. And that really stuck with me. And that's kind of something that hopefully will always stick with me. And that is, get your head right, because if your head's right, no telling what you can accomplish. So I really thank you for that, because that's been meaningful for me, Mark. So thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So Mark, are you going to be able to be at the CAB meeting in December?
Yeah, I haven't seen the date yet. I usually can make it.
It's
Good, good.
December, I think it's December 8th.
December 8th.
It's on here. So yeah, the next meeting is December 8th.
So we have more opportunity for public shaming than if, which we all like to do to each other. Yes, Elisa.
I just wanted to say thank you as well to Mark. I wasn't here when you got appointed, but I know that you're from our part of the county. I just want to say thank you for your service. We really appreciate it and for doing such an amazing job.
Thank you.
So, Elisa, in closing, I want to thank you for joining, because I think that the most powerful effect of really that we as a CAB can have is in that interchange with the people that are in the driver's seat, and you and the supervisor are in a driver's seat. You can make a difference, and I sure am pleased that you come to the meetings as you have, and just know that it's appreciated each and every time.
Thank you very much. I think that I've been in the office since April is when I started here, and I'm new to the criminal justice. I was new to the criminal justice world, and so attending the different committees and subcommittees has helped me gain a better understanding of what's actually happening, and just to see the way the information flows through the food chain, going all the way up to PPC. Yeah, not CCP, PPC.
Right. Yeah.
And it's amazing to see it and how the decisions are actually made, and all the work that you guys put into it behind the scenes to get to the point where the supervisors can hear it and make a decision based off of all the work that you guys have done for them, basically, so that they have all the information they need.
So you and I kind of came at the same time, because that's when I started as well, is right around April.
Yeah.
So your involvement is appreciated, and I really felt in the, not only in you attending these, but Jill Ray doing the same. That is important stuff, and it makes us feel like our time is worth it, and that's important as well. So without any, unless somebody else has something they'd like to say, I am going to conclude this meeting and give you all 45 minutes back of your time. And my son is coming we're going to go to lunch here pretty quick. So I'll be glad to have a few minutes to get things done as well before he gets here. So thank you so much to everyone for this meeting, and we will talk at the CAB meeting chaired by Crawford on the 8th of December. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.